Isn't it? What? Are we taking our sweet time? No intro today? What? All right, everybody. It's time for another edition of Big Wil Spotlight. I am your host, Big Wil.
And I forgot to push the button because I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem.
All right. Today we're going to cover the Expendables. Apparently nobody else wants to talk about the Expendables, but it was a surprise
It
go
was,
to anyway. So
yeah, it was actually a big sleeper hit because all it was a bunch of 80s action stars that decided to do a movie in 2007
oh, don't give me
or 2008 or something like that.
2010, 12, 14.
And
They waited 10 years to come out with the next one. So, oh, by the way, yes, there's going to be an Expendables 4 that's supposed to come out sometime this year. But, hey, I got to give it the slide for that, the Expendables franchise. I mean, yes, Sylvester Stallone. I just called him Sly. I was just faster. Sorry. I mean, what better way to make a movie than to get the action heroes that we grew up with all together and just, have a good time for the most part.
yeah, they were actually really good movies. There's always been the joke running through Hollywood about Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone never appearing on screen together. So there's jokes like Last Action Hero, where Arnold Schwarzenegger's looking at Sly Stallone as the Terminator. They always joked about, not being in the same movie. Well, this time it actually happened.
And they do poke fun at each other. It's just a good time. I mean, like I say, it's just like you get a whole bunch of basically what would seem like your best friends together in a room. I mean, anything can happen. I mean, I won't say that everything in these movies was scripted. There's no way it could have been. But I mean, they took their time on some people coming in, and then now they're starting to leave some people out, according to Google and stuff like that. But
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, they took the biggest stars from the 80s, the 90s, and the very early 2000s. So you get guys like Mickey Rourke, who was an action star. You get Jason Statham, who's a more current action star. Jet Li, a more current action star. Dolph Lundgren, so you get a good heel action star. And they just went and had some fun. Terry Crews was awesome.
Terry Crews is always awesome. But apparently he's not going to be in the fourth film.
Boo.
So we're gonna have to. We keep talking about the fourth installment of it, but I am not going to make predictions. I mean, for all I know, they could have just left him out of the list on that, and him and Jet Li also was left off of the list. But they may actually bring them in. I'm like I say, I'm not making predictions.
Yep, and there's been some things in the Expendables franchises that fell in a way. There was supposed to be an Expendables, an all women's group that never materialized. Funding never happened. No, but the script was never good. They couldn't get people tied to it, so it kind of fell away. We'll see if this Expendables 4 actually happens.
I'm sure that the pandemic didn't help out with a lot of this, but
Fair.
I hate talking about that. But anyway, it was just the Expendables. They come out. They ended up making some awesome blow 'em up, action scenes and everything like that. I mean, I want to go and say, that maybe there was more killing in Expendables than in the new Rambo movie.
Well, look at that. We've got a storyteller to talk about some great stories.
Howdy.
Go.
On.
There we go. So we're talking about the Expendables. What's your thoughts on this movie franchise? Let's put it that way.
I think it's a brilliant idea as a concept. Stallone kind of gathered all these aging action heroes and made a movie out of it. And, it's just fun. It's just a fun movie.
It was. And I think, personally, 2 is my favorite because you have the Chuck Norris cameo.
Yeah.
He got popular again because of the Chuck Norris memes, and the Chuck Norris is so tough, he can do this and that. So he was kind of brought in for that, and he even made fun of himself in that. It was funny.
And he had an even bigger part in the third one.
Yes, he did.
So, I mean, it's just, going through and getting all these people together. Like I say, I mean, you can't help but have a good time with watching all these action people come together and just make a decent enough film. I won't say they're the best films in the entire world, but I would rather watch that than some of the Fast and Furious movies. But
yeah, I would agree with that. So storyteller of the 3 movies. Let's start first with the 3 different villains that they have in there. They got Eric Roberts, they got Jean-Claude Van Damme, and they got Mel Gibson.
Oh, okay. For
The 3 main villains. Who would you think was your best one and your favorite one?
Jean-Claude, I think.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, not to take away from Jean-Claude. He did a great job for that movie, but I really think that Bruce Willis.
I don't know. It was just. I think Jean-Claude just played a better villain in this.
All right. You were saying?
I was thinking that Bruce Willis gave Barney the hardest time of any of. Did I say Bruce Willis?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Mel Gibson
Yes.
in the third one gave Barney the hardest time. He was his toughest opponent out of all of them, in my opinion. I'm not going to take away from Jean-Claude. I think Jean-Claude played the more verbal, villain than any of them.
Yeah.
I agree with Mel Gibson as being because as they went through the franchise, they got better at understanding how to build a villain. Eric Roberts was very meh. You remember Stone Cold Steve Austin far more than you remember Eric Roberts. Second one, Jean-Claude. Yeah, they showed off his kicks and stuff like that, but they didn't really develop his character. By the time they got to the third one, Mel Gibson was a badass in all the evil ways. So I think they did a lot better understanding how to build a villain for the group.
Okay.
And introduce all the newer people that are supposed to be taking over the franchise. I don't know if they want to take over the franchise as much as the unit itself is going to kind of move on. I don't know how they're going to do the movies about it, but we'll see. Again, the new one.
Stallone is kind of the king of sequels, so.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, it was just I had a great time watching all of these films. I mean, I keep saying I mean, but Steve Austin, you couldn't have had the more tie-in for wrestling than with Steve Austin at the time. Back at that time, he was probably one of the biggest WWE stars of the time.
Well, he was just out. He had just his career had kind of just wrapped up. Uh,
Yeah.
he started acting. I mean, he did The Longest Yard and he got noticed. He did The Condemned, and now here he is as a main supporting cast member. He did a great job. Plus Randy Couture, bringing the MMA feel in there. Those two guys had an incredible battle against each other. It was really good. And Hail Caesar, the automatic shotgun. Still going to talk about Terry Crews.
But yeah, Terry Crews, like I pointed out, I mean, you can't help but you have to have some comic relief to a war movie, or I can't say war movie, but battle kind of movie.
Yep.
Just like with our actor Blaine from that won our little contest that we had for the last episode.
Yep.
He was the comic relief for Terminator, no, the Predator.
Yeah, he was. He wasn't. He wouldn't be a deliberate comedian from the standpoint of comic relief. Doesn't have to be a joke teller. It just has to be somebody who says something out of left field that makes you go, "Hey, that's kind of funny." And Jesse Ventura did a good job of that. And unfortunately, Jesse Ventura was kind of past the age of being able to do these kind of movies.
A lot of people are. I mean, I don't know if Sly just worked out all on his own, if he just takes it upon himself to keep himself in that kind of shape, or if he does have a personal trainer. If he does, recommend him.
He probably has a personal trainer. Most of those guys do when they're actors. Especially the Screen Actors Guild does provide them with some of that stuff. When you pay your $3,500 a year to the Screen Actors Guild, there's things like there's health insurance plans and stuff like that. They also have personal assistants that they can be recommended to that help them they do movies as they get older, just to maintain their life. So I'm sure they do. So Mark, if you could identify one person that needs to have been part of the Expendables series that wasn't, who would you name?
Oh gosh, who hasn't been in an Expendables movie? Well, I mean, Harrison Ford did have an appearance. He was the FBI agent. Dang it, who hasn't appeared in one?
I mean, it just depends on if you're keeping up with like the 80s, 90s action stars. That would end up being one thing. I think the one person that I would bring in, he is older, but he's current, like mainstream actor right now. I would love to see Idris Elba get brought in to be part of this franchise.
Yeah.
There you go. The one that I was thinking, because he had already retired from acting, but he could have been the wizened veteran that they went to, was Sean Connery.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he could have done the Bond thing for like 5 minutes on screen and just give that one piece of advice of what direction they needed to go. I think that would have been a great little thing, but since he'd already retired from acting, he didn't do stuff anymore. But I think that would have been a great one. See, even Bob agreed with me right here. So, Dr. Quack, you've been listening.
Hi.
You've been listening in. What's your one person that should have been added to the series that wasn't?
I don't know about that, but I think I have to give an opinion on this because it seems like the Expendables, right? You know, they wanted to take all the guys from the 80s and 90s that people loved and put them in today's generation so the younger kids can remember. But in reality, There's nobody today you could put in the Expendables that would draw like this, because you needed all the old men that were in their 60s and 70s to come out here and play superhero again.
Fair.
I mean, that's why I really didn't like this movie. I watched it. I'm glad to see the stars in it. I did. But, I mean, seeing Dolph Lundgren at 60 and Mickey Rourke in 60 and 70 and, Steve Austin looking past his prime, it didn't equal out. Like, I'd rather watch Austin in The Condemned, where he's 10 years prior and looking more active. I don't think he looked as active here.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm going to counteract it with what me and Rambo were discussing yesterday when we watched Backlash. They brought out the old guy. They brought
Everybody
out
recognized
Savio Vega, who limped to the ring in his Puerto Rican vest, and he looked like the guy who could whoop the most ass. He looks like the guy the reason he's old is because nobody has messed with him. So there's nothing wrong with having the older guys who were known as the badasses 20 years ago still being on screen, showing they still have something to offer.
Because some of them are still on screen, such as Carl Weathers.
Yeah.
And how old is he?
Old enough.
Yeah.
Like almost senior citizen level.
I mean, he's been in all the Rockies movies, so he was acting in the 70s also. So, I mean, he's up there in age too. I mean, he's now doing The Mandalorian. So, I mean, he's still out there. He's still he's Carl Weathers,
Can I ask you two experts here a question? Is that what Hollywood's all about, nostalgia anymore?
Remakes. That's what
remakes.
Hollywood's all about. Remakes because they don't have their own ideas, because everything in the 80s and 90s were much better.
Okay. I wasn't going to go so much with remakes as much as the nobody is taking the time to read books anymore, so they're not coming up with good ideas.
That would be a fair. So Mark, you're a pretty voracious reader. So let me ask you this question.
All right.
Do you read the books, or do you listen to a Nook or a Kindle, the person telling you the words?
Rather read it. It's too easy to be distracted while you're listening to it.
That's the whole point of, if you're listening to the words, you're not absorbing the words, they're just flowing by you.
Yeah.
Unless you're in the car.
Unless you're in the car, my roommate says.
Well, and that's fair, but Bob brought up somebody who should have been added, would have been a badass in her day. Helen Mirren.
She was a badass.
Same lines. What about Sigourney Weaver?
Yeah, Sigourney would have been nice as well.
Yeah.
She was supposed to be the leader of the Expendibles that never materialized.
The medals. Oh,
Okay. I mean, Keanu Reeves, I guess, would be a good, but he's got John Wick. He's
I think he's going to start taking a break from that and go back to doing his band.
Oh, yeah.
Making a new album. So
we need Bill and Ted 4.
I actually liked Bill and the third one. That was
I need to see it. I haven't watched it yet. I'm waiting for it to drop because I still don't think it's worth $24.99 to stream it for 24 hours.
Yeah.
But I want to see it. I really enjoyed the first two. I thought it was a well done story. But,
yeah, and as a musician, it kind of hits all the chords for me. Finding the epic song at the show.
Someone said the new Creed is streaming on.
Well, Bob, I really don't think Mr. Miyagi is with us anymore.
Well,
Pat,
I don't think Marita was alive at that time, but he would have been a good one.
Yeah.
Along those same lines, Ralph Macchio, Johnny, but they got Cobra Kai going on. So, I mean, I guess when you stop and think about it, there's a lot of people who could be part of,
right. But
the aging action hero crowd. But
Macchio, except for Karate Kid, was he ever really an action star?
No, not really. He did a few.
He was in The Outsiders, but
yeah.
But he played a whiny little kid. He wasn't an action star.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean, I guess we could add Tom Cruise to the list, but he's
He's just
Well,
like,
it doesn't mean that he can't come in and be a bad guy or something like that. See Tom Cruise on the other side.
I'd like
instead
to
of-
see I'd like to see
Yeah,
Tom
I'd
Cruise
like
on
to
the
see
bad
that
guy
one.
side.
But
I
then
think
it
he
said
thinks he's
somebody pop in my
star to do those kind of movies. I don't know. Him and Scientology. Yeah, that's a whole different show.
Xenu the Alien, next on Big Wil Spotlight.
I
We'd
just
get
thought
a cease
somebody
and
else
desist
to bring
letter
in,
from the
though.
church.
I did. I just thought of somebody else that could be brought in. He's one of the bigger ones now today, anyway. Josh Brolin.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
he's for being an older man, he's taken on quite a bit of mainstream action stars right now. Thanos, of course,
Yeah.
but also, what did he play in Deadpool 2? He was
Whether or not
name. But I mean, yeah, he started picking up some.
he was Cable, he wasn't Juggernaut.
There it is.
Yeah. And I'm going to agree with Roughneck because I love this movie. Tom Cruise in Taps. It's only his third movie. And man, did he do a great job in that as being the bad guy, the bad, smart ass kid. He did a great job. That's a really great movie. Old movie, but great movie.
And all these movies are just popping in more and more memories. Oh, good. Googly moogly. So have to at least bring up who was in the movies, I suppose.
Fair. Let's go with
Okay.
that.
So, I mean, with the Expendables, you got Sylvester Stallone, Dolph Lundgren, Jet Li, Jason Statham. Stop me if you've heard of some of these people.
Hadn't heard of one of them. Terry Crews,
Terry Crews, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Randy Couture,
Bruce Willis, Randy Couture.
Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Well, Harrison Ford came in later, and then there was. I liked that there was another star that they had in the first one who was not well known and went on to do some better stuff. His name was David Zayas. He was played the president, and he went over and did Dexter. He was the lieutenant in Dexter.
Okay. Yeah.
And he really, because when you watch that movie, you're like, oh, okay. Then you watch Dexter, go, hey, wait a minute. I saw him over here. So that kind of got him started going, doing some good stuff.
Danny Glover would be interesting to see.
Yeah, because you need to have the curmudgeon. I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah.
Well,
I could see that.
Sylvester and Arnold did enough of that.
Yeah, it's true.
Getting too old for this shit. Yep.
Well, in the Lethal Weapon movies, that was Mel Gibson, and
Yep.
There we go. Ron Perlman.
yeah,
Ron Perlman would come in handy with being he's been played a couple of bad guys that would end up being an awesome bad guy for this too.
Yeah. Oh,
I
there
still-
we go. Roughneck was in Flight of the Intruder with Danny Glover. Very nice.
The thing he was in the Flight of the Intruder.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
We got famous people on here.
Roughneck was famous long before he was famous.
I know. So
All right.
I
So
mean, then we got to come over and start talking about some of the women that are in there. I mean, Ronda Rousey
yeah.
coming in and being one of the main characters for the new part of the Expendables. I mean, hopefully they're going to start bringing in. I don't say I'll have a whole cast of it. I mean,
But there are action women out there. Yeah, she would be a good bad guy too. Katie Seagal would be a great villain.
Did Steven Seagal ever make an appearance in the Expendables?
He's slated to be in the fourth one. Like I say, I don't want to pretend to know anything about it. Like I say, I caught on. Oh, they're going to come out with a fourth one. It's coming out this year. So I mean, they got Andy Garcia, Steven Seagal. I gonna have to excuse me. Don't know how to really say the guy's name, but you know him from other action-packed movies. Idris Ukwe, something like that.
Okay.
And
Well, he's looking that up. There was one other name I thought about I'd like to see or would have liked to have seen in the day. I don't think he'd do so well now, would be Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
I think he would have been, because he did a good job in Under Siege.
Yeah.
And being
Kevin Costner. That'd be a good name to add to the list of maybes.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we're starting to get into some of the newer names as far as action. I would never have considered, Kevin Costner an action star, but
Well, I mean, he did Waterworld. He did The Postman. That's kind of action-y hero, I guess.
I saw him more as a dramatic actor. I mean, I'm not a big fan of his stuff, but I can watch Dances with Wolves,
Okay.
Tin Cup.
Iko Uwe. There we go.
Oh, and okay, so we've got to add the Latin flair in. We got to add in Danny Trejo, Machete.
Yeah. Wasn't he? Didn't he
Probably
make?
about the same height.
I thought he had a cameo in one of the movies.
I don't remember if he did or not off the top of my head.
They're not on the one list that I had just up a little bit ago.
But so let's do a little.
I'm not going to find out that list again if my life depended on it.
So let's do a little analysis on the first movie. How is it held up over the years? Do you think it's good, gotten the same, gotten better, gotten worse, a new
So as the
crowd?
franchise goes on,
Oh yeah, we can start from there. And as the franchise goes on, is it getting better? Is it being remembered better? Is it done damage? That we're unfortunately at the whims of society. So things that we think might age well don't age well because of society, and things that didn't start out well age well. So what's your thoughts on that?
mine.
Yeah.
You want me to start? Okay. I am in a state of mind that most people who are at least 20 years younger than us, sorry, we're old, aren't going to the movies like our generation did.
Fair.
So Sylvester Stallone coming out with this set of movies was more probably aimed at our age group than for the newer people, because they're more immediate. If it's not happening right here in my hand and lasts more than 8 minutes, I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to bash on anybody. It's kind of the state of mind that I believe that we've all come to. And so him coming out with that, I mean, we're going to sit down, we're going to watch it, we're going to love it, we're going to force feed it to our children. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it just goes on. It was a great starter with the way that they started it off. The second one wasn't quite as, I don't want to say action-packed. If it wouldn't have been for Jean-Claude, I don't know how much further that movie would have gone. It didn't have the same excitement to it.
Yeah, the whole revenge thing for the kid that we didn't know really didn't play well. Jean-Claude made it better than what it was.
But the third one, they came in there and just kicked ass again. So, I mean, they just good storytelling that, keeps us interested. I mean, like I say, I need to get off my horse here.
And it was funny watching Antonio Banderas in the third one. Please sign me up. Please sign me up.
Yeah.
All righty.
If Mark got something to throw out there, I mean, by all means.
I mean, I think you watch an Expendable movie because you want to see, you know, the action hero do an action hero thing, and that's that's become a rarity nowadays, and I think it's something that's needed. Just action heroes doing action heroes things. You don't watch these movies for, social commentary. You watch these movies to see somebody kick some ass and blow some stuff up. It's a very simple formula, and
I agree. Sometimes a movie is just a movie. It doesn't need to be 100% accurate and tell every single person's story and respect everybody and treat it. Sometimes you just want to sit back, turn your brain off, and enjoy watching things blow up.
Exactly.
Mythbusters did that for 18 years.
Exactly.
So there you go.
So it's great to let somebody else handle a problem than you.
Yes, which is what made 80s movies work, like Dirty Harry. Sit back. The things you wish you could do that really aren't legal, like the police becoming vigilante to take out the bad guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was just, all right, he handled it for me. Thank God that worked.
Yeah. Unless you're watching something that's heavy like Schindler's List or something, you watch a movie to be distracted for a couple hours.
Exactly. And even a movie like Schindler's List can be just a distraction from the standpoint of, I'm glad we don't live in that society anymore.
Yeah.
True. Yes. But at the same time, like I say, get lost in the fantasy of it. I mean, anybody think there was an actual factual anything behind the Goonies?
Nope. No, of course not. I mean,
get lost in it, enjoy the water slide at least. Yeah. I can't be on one, but they made me sure want to be on one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I agree with this statement. This was a funny movie in and of itself, The Last Action Hero, where Arnold Schwarzenegger makes fun of himself. I'm the famous comedian, Arnold Braunschweiger. Which, by the way, Braunschweiger is a type of sausage. Makes it even funnier when you know what Braunschweiger means.
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. You could almost do that with just take some little kid. He ends up getting lost in a movie.
Yeah.
And it could have been anybody. I mean, I don't want to say Sylvester Stallone would have been a great one because, him and Arnold, like I say, they have picked up on poking fun at themselves, and it makes it even better. So they could come out and Wayne Johnson, Last Action Hero, boom, there's a whole other franchise going on.
And I think with your idea of bouncing from movie to movie would be funny because Futurama did something like that where they bounce from scene to scene to scene in different things and watching the reaction maybe of a kid falling into a love scene in the middle of the movie. I think that could be a kind of a funny concept as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you could just take about anybody and make a movie out of that and just have a good time with it.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Like I say, that's probably one of the best ideas there could be for Hollywood right about now. You're lost on ideas. Let's just throw this person into making fun of themselves throughout this, and going through different movies.
Yeah. Or redo and make a better version of being John Malkovich. Not so much John Malkovich, but let the actor go back in time and watch himself in these other movies. Go, I did that. That could be funny too. Just playing like it's almost like a mockumentary.
Yeah.
That could be a funny concept.
That could be.
For all those screenwriters out there, we just gave you ideas for 10 years.
Yep. And all we ask you to do is put Big Wil Spotlight at the bottom.
There you go. Brought to you in part by.
All right. So I guess let's have a little fun. Expendables 4, we haven't read about. There's talk of it may be out there. What would you like to, if you could wave the magic wand to make Expendables 4 happen, what would you want their mission to be? Because that's kind of the central story of all the Expendables, their mission.
Yeah. Huh. I mean, I guess. Well, I mean, they're a mercenary group, so they, they kind of go where they're paid to go.
Right.
So that might be something kind of what if the Expendables are actually the bad guys? They've been hired to do a job that is morally questionable.
Well, technically, the protagonist of the story doesn't have to be the good guy. It's just the good guy from the point of view of the person telling the story.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought of
interesting, kind of a.
I'll let you finish.
I was going to say, what if they got hired basically to somebody that was really smart and hired them to take themselves out?
Yeah, that'd be.
I actually thought of a way to make it a comedy. Let's take on gun control.
Oh, take on gun control with the Expendables. That's awesome. That would be great. It would turn out like Superman 4, but it would still be a great idea.
Let's save the rainforest.
Yeah, for every tree we shoot down, we'll plant 3 more.
Or go on some, I don't know, go to the Amazon and hunt Pablo Escobar's hippos or something.
It'd be interesting.
An Angry Hippos movie, yeah. We're having too much fun here right now.
We're allowed to have fun. Movies are supposed to make you have fun and have a good time.
Look what you started. Oh boy. So yes, I can't wait for this movie to come out this year. I mean, it's just end up having another talking point, whether it's going to be a great way to.
This is a great idea, Dr. Quack. The Expendables doing a Purge movie.
Huh. Okay.
That would be interesting. They're hiding inside, and the Purge is going on, and they fought back. That would be interesting.
Interesting. Huh. Or he could go completely left field. The Expendables versus I don't know, Predator or Alien or something.
There you go.
Out there.
Yeah, break out some of the biggest villains from their past, like the Predator and.
Well, because I mean, yeah, with something like the Predator, well, I guess you could with Aliens too. I mean, it would just end up being, it's not going to be the one from the movie because they killed that one already, apparently. So, I mean,
there was a whole bunch of them, according to Danny Glover.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if you go into the lore, the Alien and the Predator, they share the same, universe, so to speak.
Yeah.
This was just the hunting ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. I think we've pretty much covered this pretty good series.
The Expendables, if you haven't watched it, I don't know how much fun we've had with it, with you not knowing what it's about. But if you haven't watched it, please go check it out. So then you can catch on to what we were talking about.
Yeah, if you're a fan of action movies, it's the mercenary action group that can do superhuman things, but they're not superhuman. It's just because they're old and have worked on it for so long, they know how to do it.
And know how to do the plan. The planning's all the whole thing.
Yep.
There you go.
All right, so what do we got coming up next?
Again, we didn't do a whole lot of homework this weekend, trying to get over
Well, next week is Mother's Day, so we won't be filming next week.
How about that one? So, how about a Mother's Day film?
Can't think of too many Mother's Day movies.
When the Hand Rocks the Cradle.
Ooh.
Oh gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, great Mother's Day film there. Yes, When the Hand Rocks the Cradle.
Ouch.
I mean, if we're going
we'll-
Rosemary's Baby, I mean,
Rosemary Baby, there you go.
That's what I'm saying. We'll end up coming back. We'll cover some.
Or what was that? Children in the Attic?
I don't.
Or
Children of the Corn.
Yeah.
People under the floor or the stairs. We'll cover some horror movie, scaring of mothers kind of movies.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
That's
There
what I'm
you go.
saying. When the hand rocks the cradle, the baby gets stolen. She, mother's worst
Yeah.
nightmare. There you go.
All right. Works for me.
And like I say, bring in some more, colorful movies. It's not like I don't know much about a little.
There you go.
So, yeah, we'll come back. We'll have some Mother's Day kind of theme. I don't want to say Mother's Day theme things, but we'll talk about just in general mothers.
There you go. All right, storyteller. Thanks for joining
Thanks
us.
for joining us. Yes, going
Been
through
fun.
the train.
There you go.
All right, we'll see you next time.
All righty.